Have you ever wondered what happens when ancient humans go too far? When rituals meant to honor the gods turn dark and summon something else? Around the world, there are legends whispered for centuries of creatures not born of nature, but forged in forbidden rites, unleashed by desperate priests, power-hungry kings, and terrified villagers. These aren't your average monsters. These are sacred mistakes, and their presence still echoes through time. In the shadows of temples, beneath icy waters, or in the winds that howl across deserts, some say these ancient beings never left. From Egypt's serpent of chaos, Apep, to Japan's night-stretching spirit woman, Rokurokubi, these creatures were not just feared, they were respected, even worshipped. But here's the question: what if these so-called myths weren't myths at all? What if they were warnings? Step carefully, because what you're about to discover has been hidden for centuries, for a reason. These are the 5 ancient creatures born of forbidden rituals. Apep, the serpent of chaos. Long ago in ancient Egypt, people believed in powerful gods and monsters. But one of the most feared of all was Apep, a giant snake made of pure darkness, also known as Apophis, the eternal enemy of light. Unlike the gods who were born of creation, Apep was born of something darker, something older. According to ancient Egyptian lore, Apep emerged from the primordial chaos, a swirling force that existed before even the gods themselves. And while Ra, the sun god, rode his golden bark across the sky each day, Apep waited patiently in the shadows, plotting to devour the sun and plunge the world into darkness. But here's where things get even more terrifying. Some texts describe forbidden rituals performed by ancient cults who worshipped Apep in secret. They believed that by summoning him through blood offerings and shadow incantations, they could wield his chaotic power against their enemies. But guess what? No one controls chaos for long. Every night, Ra was said to battle Apep during his journey through the underworld. Thunderstorms, eclipses, and earthquakes. Those were believed to be signs that Apep had temporarily gained the upper hand. Even in death, Egyptians feared him. Priests would recite protective spells over tombs, just in case Apep tried to consume a soul before it reached the afterlife. Apep wasn't just a myth, he was a living nightmare, a reminder that even the gods had something to fear. And maybe they still do. Next up, let's see what the jungle holds, and you won't believe what we're about to show you. Ahuizotl, the drowned offering of the jungle. If you ever hear a baby crying near a jungle river in the dead of night, don't go near it. In the heart of ancient Aztec lands, deep within the misty forests and rushing streams, there's a legend feared even by the bravest warriors. It's the story of the Ahuizotl, an aquatic creature said to lure victims with the sound of a weeping child, only to drag them into the water, never to surface again. But guess what? This wasn't just a monster, it was created. Ancient Aztec priests, in desperate attempts to please the gods of water and death, are believed to have performed forbidden blood rituals, calling forth a creature to guard sacred lakes and rivers. What answered their call was something twisted, something hungry. The Ahuizotl looked like a dog, but wasn't. Its body was slick and black, with hands instead of paws, and a long tail ending in a human hand, used to grab its prey. It didn't eat flesh, no. It took the eyes, nails, and teeth, the soul's brightest jewels, according to Aztec belief. Those who vanished while fishing or bathing weren't forgotten. Their bodies were often found weeks later, if at all. And those who survived spoke of a cold grip, a screaming silence, and eyes watching just below the surface. In Aztec times, some creatures were worshipped, others were feared so deeply, they were never spoken of above a whisper. Now, let's travel far north, where the icy sea hides a creature that takes children. Qalupalik, the child stealer beneath the ice. In the frozen silence of the Arctic, where the sea stretches like a sheet of glass and the wind screams through empty tundra, the Inuit tell stories of something hiding beneath the ice, something waiting. Her name is Qalupalik. She's not a monster in the usual sense. She looks almost human, but her skin is green and slimy, her fingers long and clawed, and she wears a strange amautik, a traditional Inuit coat, not to keep warm, but to carry something. And guess what it is? Children. Legend says Qalupalik lives under the sea ice, listening. She hears when children disobey their parents, wander too close to the shore, or sneak out alone. That's when she rises, without a sound, and pulls them into the freezing water, never to be seen again. But here's the part that chills your bones. Some elders believe Qalupalik wasn't always a creature. Some say she was made, summoned by ancient shamans using dark rituals to protect the villages. They wanted a spirit that would scare children into obedience. But what they created was something far worse, a being that developed a taste for fear and flesh. She doesn't roar, doesn't chase. She simply waits beneath the ice, listening and waiting. Even today, Inuit parents whisper her name when their kids misbehave, not as a bedtime story, but as a warning. Because if you hear the soft humming beneath the ice, it may already be too late. Pazuzu, the wind that whispers doom. They say the most dangerous monsters are the ones you invite in. In ancient Mesopotamia, where deserts stretched endlessly, people feared something that couldn't be seen, but could always be felt. His name was Pazuzu, the demon of the wind and bringer of both protection and disaster. He wasn't just a myth. He was worshipped, feared, and sometimes even called upon in desperation. His face was terrifying, a lion's snarling head, eagle wings, scaly body, and serpent tail. When the hot wind howled through the cities of Babylon or Nineveh, people believed Pazuzu was passing by, and he was either watching or choosing. But here's the twist. Pazuzu was sometimes summoned to fight other demons, especially those who harmed pregnant women and children. But dealing with him came at a price. He was unpredictable and dangerous. Once a forbidden ritual brought him forth, there was no telling what he would leave behind. Some whispered that when wars broke out without reason, or when crops died overnight, Pazuzu's shadow had fallen over the land. And if you felt a chill on a still night in the desert, it meant he was near. Today, his statue still exists, his image etched in stone, his name remembered in curses. Not every demon wants your soul. Some just want to stand beside you and laugh when everything burns. Rokurokubi, the woman who stretches in the dark. She looks like anyone else by day, quiet, gentle, and a kind face in the crowd. But when night falls, her neck begins to stretch, longer than any human bone should allow, silently slithering through windows, down hallways, and over beds, while her body lies still. This is the legend of the Rokurokubi, one of Japan's most chilling creatures. But here's what many don't know. She wasn't born a monster. She was made, the result of a cursed life, or worse, a punishment for breaking sacred vows. Some say it began with forbidden spells passed down in secret, rituals that gave women strange powers at a cost. By day, she blends in. By night, her head moves on its own, neck stretching through homes, feeding on fear, or sometimes the life force of the sleeping. Victims would wake with a stiff neck, drained, confused, never knowing what had watched them in the dark. The most terrifying part is that she doesn't always know what she is. Some Rokurokubi live normal lives, unaware that their soul wanders every night, peering into places it shouldn't, whispering things they don't remember in the morning. It's not the ghost that knocks, it's the one that smiles at you all day, then returns through your window at night, seeking something she doesn't even remember wanting. Now you've met them all. 5 ancient creatures born not by nature, but by rituals that never should have been performed. We like to think the world is mapped, understood, explained. But stories like these remind us of a deeper truth, that some doors were never meant to be opened, and some powers, once summoned, never truly leave. Whether born from fear, desperation, or pure madness, these ancient creatures weren't just the stuff of bedtime stories. They were warnings, passed down in whispers, etched into stone, hidden beneath layers of time. So which of these creatures chilled you the most? Let us know in the comments, and if you're brave enough, share this with someone who dares to believe in myths. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, because the next story might be even darker.